Hello students, welcome back to the next session of the chapter Chemical Reaction and Equation. So in the last chapter we had discussed about the decomposition reaction happening by the help of heat energy, right? So that is thermal decomposition we had discussed. So in this session we are going to discuss about decomposition by the help of light. How decomposition happen by using light energy. So this decomposition is also called as photolytic decomposition, or else it can be also called as photochemical decomposition. So decomposition by light can be called as we can call it as photo decomposition, or we can call it as photolytic decomposition, or even it can be called as photochemical decomposition. So totally it is a decomposition happening by the help of light energy here. So here I have taken the example of silver chloride. So silver chloride is a white color salt. It is white color crystal salt. So what happens to this white color crystal salt? Silver chloride is prepared by reaction between silver nitrate and sodium chloride. So when silver nitrate react with sodium chloride, we get a compound called as silver chloride. This is how it has been prepared. But this preparation is not there in your reader. It is not needed for you. Just for your information I have given you. Silver nitrate and sodium chloride, when they react, you get a salt called as silver chloride. So this silver chloride is very much sensitive to light. It is very much sensitive to light. So it has been stored in a dark container in a dark room. It has to be stored in a dark room because it is sensitive towards light. So how it is sensitive towards light means when it has been exposed to light, it will be breaking down. It will undergo decomposition. It decomposes to form further smaller products. So it will be always stored in a dark container. So you may get a question in the exam, why silver chloride salt has been stored in a dark container, or why it has been stored in a dark room? Because it is light sensitive compound which get decomposed on exposure to light. So what happens when it has been exposed to light? Let us see. So if we take silver chloride in a china dish and just keep it outside in sunlight, when it has been exposed to sunlight, it gets decomposed to form two products called as silver and chlorine gas. So silver, it decomposes to form silver. So how you can identify it has been decomposed to silver is this white color salt changes to grey color. Its color changed to grey color. So then you can understand it has been decomposed to form a new substance called as silver here. And along with that, chlorine gas also will be evolved out. So since it is in gaseous form, it will escape out of the compound. So you will be getting left back with silver, compound called as silver, which is greyish in color. So same as with the case of silver bromide also. We have another salt which is very much light sensitive. It is called as silver bromide. So this is another example for decomposition by light. So here we have taken another salt called as silver bromide. So silver bromide is a pale yellow color salt. So this is also obtained in the same manner how we got silver chloride, the same manner. So here we have to make the silver nitrate to react with sodium bromide. So there it was with sodium chloride. So when silver nitrate has been made to react with sodium bromide, you get silver bromide. Again, this preparation is not needed for you, just for your reference I said you. So we are getting a salt called as silver bromide. So we have to learn this one now. So what happens to silver bromide on exposure to light? Silver bromide is a yellow color salt. So when it has been exposed to sunlight, when it has been kept outside in the sunlight, so here also you can see the color change. The yellow color silver bromide salt slowly start to change to a greyish color substance. That is what is happening there is silver bromide is breaking. It is decomposing to form silver and bromine gas. Bromine gas is a reddish brown gas, but you will not be able to see that very clearly during that decomposition. But that gas will be evolved out. And you can see the substance changing its color to grey. From yellow color, it is changing to a greyish color substance called as silver. So this is happening due to the decomposition of light. Since it has been exposed to light, so it will break to form another compound called as silver, which is greyish in color. So this decomposition, photolytic decomposition, is having lots of use. So in olden days, it was used mainly for photography, black and white photography. So this is how the black and white photography was done. So in the black and white photography, they used to use this compound like silver chloride and silver bromide. So which on exposure to sunlight, it is to turn to grayish or blackish color. That is how they used to develop a black and white photographs. So we'll be showing this practical part of this in the live session. I'll be sharing the screen of this practical in the live session. We'll be discussing about that in the live session. So now let us move on to the next kind of decomposition, that is decomposition by electricity, that is electrolysis. So here we are going to take the example of electrolysis of water. So we have taken the example of water here for electrolysis. So electrolysis means decomposition happening by the help of electricity. It can be also called as electrolysis here because lysis or breaking is happening due to by the help of electricity. So it's known as electrolysis. So we have taken here the example of electrolysis of water. So water can be decomposed. It cannot be easily decomposed by any other method because it is a polar molecule. It is having charged particles in it. So it has to be decomposed only by the help of electricity. So on passing electricity through water, the water molecules, the atoms of the water molecule is going to decompose. So what are the atoms you can find in water molecule? You have hydrogen atom and oxygen atom. So when we pass electricity through water, it decomposes to form hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. So hydrogen gas and oxygen gas will be collected in the different electrodes of the electrolytic setup. So I hope you remember the electrolytic setup which you learned in your previous years. So let us just go through the electrolytic setup, how it happens with a diagrammatic representation. So this is the electrolytic setup of electrolysis of water. So we take a water in a beaker containing water in this. So for this, since the electrolysis means we have to pass electricity through this. So we can make water more conductive by adding few drops of acid to that. You have learned, right? So we can add few drops of sulfuric acid to the water so that it become more conductive towards electricity. So this beaker will be having two electrodes fitted here. So both the electrode has been connected towards the positive and negative terminal of a battery. So here this electrode has been connected to the positive terminal and it will become the anode, and this electrode has been connected to negative terminal and this becomes the cathode. So this is the cathode and this is the anode here now. And then this has to be inverted. This has to be covered with an inverted test tube containing completely filled with water. So you have to take two test tube completely filled with water and you have to invert it over both the electrodes, and then you have to pass the current which has to be connected to the battery. The current has to be passed through the water. So on passing current through this water, acidified water, you can see the formation of bubbles in both the electrode. Inside both the test tube, the electrode inside both the test tubes start to produce some kind of gas bubbles will be evolved out. And after the experiment has been completed, you can see that the gas collected in this test tube of this much quantity, and as gas collected in this test tube is double the quantity. So here in test tube A, it is very little. In test tube B, you can see it is double the quantity. So what you can understand by this is, what is the gas being collected, we have to test it. So which is the gas present in this test tube A, which is the gas present in test tube B, we have to test it. So that can be done by simple test. So for testing, both the test tube contain, one of the test tube contain hydrogen gas, the other contain oxygen gas. How hydrogen and oxygen? So when you pass electricity through water, it decomposes to form H+ ion and O negatively charged oxygen atoms. So it becomes protons and negatively charged oxygen ions will be formed on decomposition of water. So water decomposes to form H+ ion and oxygen ions. So hydrogen being positively charged, it has to move towards which electrode? Definitely it has to move towards electrode which is negatively charged, right? So hydrogen is a positively charged ion, therefore the hydrogen gas will be collected in the negatively charged electrode called as cathode. So here what has been collected is, this is hydrogen gas, whereas oxygen being negatively charged, where it has to be collected? It will be collected in the positively charged electrode called as anode. So here in this test tube, the gas collected is oxygen. So what you can observe is, the amount of oxygen gas collected is half the amount of hydrogen gas collected. The other way we can say hydrogen gas is double the amount of oxygen gas collected, right? So why it is in this manner is because in water molecule, in a single water molecule, hydrogen and oxygen atom is been combined in the ratio of 2:1 by quantity. 2:1 by quantity. So they may ask you in the exam, what is the ratio of hydrogen to oxygen in a water molecule? So it is in the ratio of 2:1. So hydrogen is to oxygen is in the ratio of 2:1. So it is double the quantity of hydrogen gas is present in water molecule. That's the reason why you can find double the quantity of gas collected in test tube B and half of the quantity of gas has been collected in test tube A. Now how do we confirm this is oxygen and that is hydrogen itself? Why it can't be the vice versa, right? So for this we will perform a simple test. So what is the test is, we have to remove the test tube from here and we have to bring a burning splinter. So burning splinter, it may be, you can even use an incense stick, incense agabati burn stick can be used, and you have to put that incense stick into this test tube containing oxygen gas. So you know oxygen is a supporter of combustion, it helps in combustion, it helps in burning anything, right? So you learned oxygen helps in combustion of substances. So when you put an incense stick, which is a glowing incense stick, into the test tube, it starts to produce flame and it starts to burn because oxygen is a supporter of combustion. So it starts to burn brightly. Whereas if you put the burning stick into a test tube containing hydrogen gas, it produces a pop sound. Why it produces a pop sound? Because hydrogen gas is highly inflammable. So it produces a pop sound and the hydrogen gas will be, the flame will be put off. So this is the best test for hydrogen gas. So many of the experiment there is production of hydrogen gas and they will be asking in the exam, how do you test for hydrogen gas? So best test for hydrogen gas is if you bring any burning substance towards the mouth of the test tube containing hydrogen gas, it will produce a pop sound. Okay, it will produce a pop sound will be produced when you bring the burning substance against the test tube mouth. So that confirms that it contains hydrogen gas. So this experiment I will be adding a link in this description box for decomposition of water by electrolysis. So you can open the link in the description box. Below you can see a description box. There I have put a link for this experiment. You can watch that experiment. It will be more clear for you. Is it clear? So this is decomposition by electricity, and the questions asked in this exam is about the amount of oxygen and hydrogen gas collected in the test tube. They may ask you the ratio of that and how do you test for that gas. So that will be asked in the exam. So you will have to write this reason, how you can test for that and what is the amount of, what is the ratio of hydrogen and oxygen present in one molecule of water molecules. So let us see the next type of reaction, that is displacement reaction. So what does displacement reaction means? It's a type of reaction in which highly reactive metals are going to displace the less reactive metal. So the element which is stronger can displace the element which is less stronger from their salt. That's called a displacement reaction. So displacement reaction means it's a reaction in which highly reactive metals or highly reactive elements can displace the less reactive elements from its salt solution. So for this reaction, to write the reaction very easily and clearly, we should be knowing the reactivity series. So this is the reactivity series. So here you can see the elements are arranged according to their decreasing order of the reactivity. So here the element which is placed at the higher level is more reactive, and element which is placed at the bottom level is less reactive. So here potassium is most reactive and platinum is least reactive. So this goes on decreasing as you come down. So whatever elements comes below hydrogen, so whatever comes below hydrogen I have written here. So whatever elements comes below hydrogen is least reactive. Whatever elements comes above hydrogen is in the increasing order of their reactivity. So most reactive is potassium, next less reactive is sodium, lesser to that comes calcium, next comes magnesium, next is aluminum, next is zinc, next is ferrous, next is lead, and next is hydrogen. So how can you remember this one? How do you remember this reactivity series? So there is a small code for that, so that you can easily remember this reactivity series. So it is like Kedar Nath Ka Malik Alu Zara Fika Pakata. or Kedar Nath ka Malik, Alu Zara Fika Paka Hai. So it comes like that. So this is how you can remember the elements which comes above hydrogen. And for this it is easy for you to remember. Just you see, whatever elements comes below hydrogen goes in the increasing order of their value. So you know, copper is having less value. Next is silver is little more valuable than copper, and gold is still more valuable than silver, and platinum is most valuable than any of these metals. So it goes in the increasing order of their value but decreasing order of their reactivity. So more valuable the thing is, more precious it is, its reactivity becomes less. It becomes less reactive to any kind of metals. That means it will not react with most of the chemicals at all. So that is why it is precious elements. Platinum, gold, silver and all are precious because it is less reactive, least reactive towards any kind of chemicals. But when you compare, all these metals are very much reactive, and hence it is not very expensive also. So we have taken here example to show one of the displacement reaction, that is which you have learned already in your 8th standard, that is reaction of iron metal with a copper sulfate solution. Now copper sulfate is a salt which is having blue color. So when you prepare the copper sulfate solution, you get a blue color crystal salt that has to be added to water and dissolved in the water. You get the solution of copper sulfate. To that blue color copper sulfate solution, you have to add one iron substance, any brand new iron substance. You can use a brand new nail itself, grayish in color. So that has to be put into the solution of copper sulfate, and you have to leave it for 1 day or 2 days. After a few hours, you can observe that slowly the color of the copper sulfate from blue, it changes to green color. So why it changes to green color is the substance has changed to ferrous sulfate. So copper sulfate has changed to ferrous sulfate. So how it has been changed is, here iron is more reactive. If you just observe the reactivity series, you can see iron comes first, below that comes copper, right? So first is iron. So we have to write it below. Since I don't have place here, I have written here. So if you write it below, what comes first? Iron comes first, and then comes the copper. Copper is located below iron. So which is more reactive? It is obviously iron is more reactive than copper. Copper is less reactive. So here iron being more reactive, it can displace a least reactive metal. So iron displaces the least reactive metal copper from its salt solution. That is called as displacement reaction. So displacement reaction means it's a reaction wherein highly reactive metal displaces a least reactive metal from its salt solution. Is called as displacement reaction. So here iron displaces copper and it occupies the place of copper. So iron goes and occupies the place of copper, so it becomes ferrous sulfate. Copper sulfate changes to ferrous sulfate. What happens to copper? Copper has been displaced out, so it will come out. It has been removed from that salt solution. So how we can see that is, when you take a beaker, into that you have taken the blue color copper sulfate solution, to that you are putting iron nail. So after few hours, what you can see is this iron nail will be deposited by this reddish brown color copper substance. So reddish brown color copper substance get deposited on the surface of the nail. So you mistake it and you write it as it will get rusted. It's not actually getting rusted. It is the deposition of copper covering the iron nail. So iron nail will be completely covered with the reddish brown color substance called as copper, and this is called as displacement reaction. Is it clear? So displacement means it's a reaction in which one metal, that is highly reactive metal, can displace a least reactive metal from its salt solution. So iron displaces copper and occupies the place of ferrous. Occupies the place of copper. So it becomes ferrous sulfate. So ferrous sulfate is a salt. We have done another experiment in yesterday's class. So in the last video, in that you have seen the color of ferrous sulfate, the composition of ferrous sulfate by providing heat. I had shown the experiment. So in that you have seen the color of ferrous sulfate. It was pale green color. So now it has become pale green color substance called as ferrous sulfate. That's the reason why the color of copper sulfate changes to ferrous sulfate, because the compound has completely changed. We have got a new substance after the chemical reaction called as ferrous sulfate, which is pale green in color. So this is example for displacement reaction. So displacement reaction happens only with a highly reactive metal displacing the low reactive metal. It will not happen reverse. So if you write another reaction like this. So I have taken the example of aluminum sulfate reacting with iron here. So if you see aluminum sulfate reacting with iron, or you can write iron reacting with aluminum sulfate. So to make it more clear, iron reacting with aluminum sulfate. So here you can see iron has to displace aluminum. So but when you see the reactivity series, where you can find aluminum, aluminum is above iron, so which is coming at the lower level iron, and at the higher level you can see aluminum. So in this reactivity series you can understand that aluminum is more reactive than iron, right? So aluminum being more reactive than iron, so do you think that iron can displace aluminum? It cannot displace aluminum because this is more reactive, this is more stronger. So iron cannot displace aluminum from its salt solution. So here can the iron displace aluminum? No. So this reaction doesn't happen. So the reaction, there is no reaction here. Only the highly reactive metals can displace the less reactive metal, but the least reactive metal cannot displace highly reactive metal. So this reaction doesn't happen. So if you add iron nail to aluminum sulfate solution, there will be no kind of chemical change, there will be no kind of chemical reaction happening. I hope you understood what is displacement reaction. Now let us move on to the next reaction, double displacement reaction. So far we have discussed about displacement reactions. In that what we seen is one of the highly reactive metal can displace the other low reactive metal from its salt solution. So it was similar to playing Coco. So if you have seen Coco, so in that what happens is there is a person A and B here, another person C. So C displaces A and it occupies the place of A. So it become, the product will be CB, then it becomes CB and A will be out. So that was displacement reaction what you have seen so far. So in displacement reaction, highly reactive metal, C here can be taken as highly reactive metal that displaces a low reactive metal. Here we can take example of A and it will occupy the place of A will be coming out. So that is called as displacement reaction. But whereas double displacement reaction, here you can see mutual interchange of the elements here. So two elements are interchanging their place in the compound. So we can consider it as AB reacting with C and D. So what will be the product we are going to get is, so we have AB and CD here. So here what happens is there will be a mutual interchange of places. A occupying C's place, C occupies B's place. So what will be the product we are getting is, we are getting A and D, AD plus the other product what we are getting is C and B. So we get it as C and B. So what you can observe here is there is a mutual interchange of the place of A and C. A occupies C's place and C occupy A's place. So instead of AB plus CD we get AD plus CB. So that is what happens even in the this reaction. What you can see, it's an example of sodium sulfate reacting with barium chloride. Sodium sulfate and barium chloride both is white color salt. When it's dissolved in the water it become a colorless solution. It become a clear solution of salt. So you get a clear solution of salt, and when that has been mixed together we get two compounds called as barium sulfate and sodium chloride. So here the product form, this will be a white color precipitate. We get a white precipitate of barium sulfate. So I have said you in the beginning of the chapter when I study about precipitation process. So precipitate means it's an insoluble salt you get. So when you are mixing two clear liquid of chemicals mixed together, you get one of the compound will be a solid substance which is not soluble in the liquid. So you get an insoluble substance of barium sulfate as a white color precipitate and a clear solution of sodium chloride as a product. So here what is the mutual interchange you can see is, here you can see sodium occupies the place of barium and barium is occupying the place of sodium. So what is the product you are getting? So sodium sulfate So in sodium sulfate's place, sodium's place barium occupy and hence you are getting barium sulfate. Whereas in barium's place sodium occupies and instead of barium chloride you get sodium chloride. You understand? So instead of sodium sulfate you get barium sulfate, barium chloride become sodium chlorides because of mutual interchange of the elements. So here there is double displacement taking place. Two elements are interchanging their place in the salt solution and become a newly formed two products will be formed after the reaction is completed. So usually in the exam they will be asking you questions based on this itself, the sodium sulfate and barium chloride example. So here they will be ask you what is the white precipitate form, what is the name of the white precipitate, or they will ask you what is the condition or what is the state of barium sulfate formed here after the reaction. So you have to write it is a white color precipitate, barium sulfate will be formed. So this reaction is already shown you through a video. In one of the classes I have included a video of this reaction. So you can, I will be including the video of this even in the description box. You can check the link and you can watch the video. So some more example of double displacement reaction I will be giving you in the notes part. So you can learn from that. So we will be winding up the class today. In the next session we are going to discuss about oxidation and reduction. What is oxidation and reduction, the last kind of reaction. So I will meet you in the next class. Thank you.